fastly running out of space. Welcome back, guys. Today we got more batteries, and more batteries. I'm trying not to bore you to death with battery builds, but I'm on a quest to find a battery kit that you can build with minimal tools. So unlike the last video where we matched and batched our cells, in this video we're not going to do any cycle testing at all. We're just going to take the cells exactly how they came from the distributor and put it in the box and let the JK BMS do its magical work. So I have enough cells to build two 48-volt batteries, and I bought two extras. I will cycle test the two extras just to verify I got what I paid for, but we're not going to use those two cells in the build. Now the battery case that I'm sitting on is from Yixiang New Energy. It's a smaller company, but it checked all the boxes that I like to see in a battery case. It's got a built-in DC rated breaker, it's got a power switch, it's got standard battery terminals, and a JK BMS. I'll include a link to the company's website in the description below if you're interested in building this battery kit. But the good thing is, in 2024, cell prices have dropped precipitously. I'm talking about 40 to 50%. It's crazy. Depending on the make and model of your cells, you can get them between $75 and $90 shipped per cell. So I think now is the best time to DIY. At the end of the video, we're going to compare the cost of this DIY kit against commonly bought rack mount retail batteries. You can also check my website on the Where to Buy Cells webpage for more details. Alright, look at that. Eh? Nice. And so it's got these little feet. I might have to take these off because I need to put it on top of that box, and that box has these holes here which are made for larger feet. I can imagine these holding up to 1,000 pounds of weight. Well, maybe not. Nope, it is metal. Yep. Sure enough. So looking at the width here, the width is identical to the Apex box. And I think I like the feet because it gives you a gap here in case you ever need to use a crane or something like a cherry picker to lift this battery up. You can always put the, you can slip your strap underneath here to be able to lift it up. So anyway, so the width is the same. At the length, they're pretty identical. Like this has a larger clip on the bottom, this one's smaller. Same handles, smaller latches at the top. Where's that one? So the latching hardware is smaller. The length is about 1/4 inch shorter on this one. Okay, so looking at the front, the first thing I notice is the BMS and the display. That's already installed. So I was hoping to do like some DIY, but this thing's already like built. Like just put the cells in. But let's cover the obvious stuff. Power button. Nice, nicely labeled. Nice big 4.5 inch display right in the middle. This one's over here on the left side. No power button. Had to install the BMS on that one. I mean, I like assembling things, so I don't know how I feel about that. Kind of sucks, but makes it easy, right? So that's your BMS on and off, a reset. Your dip switch for your addressing. Your run alarm, your state of charge, and your dry contact. That's interesting. Oh, I gotta see, what would you use that for? I gotta look into this. This is a feature of the JK BMS. Could this actually trigger like a generator charging? I wonder. You got your RS4851, CAN, RS232, and your RS485 number 2. And look at standard battery terminals. That's so nice. So if I wanted to put a terminal fuse on there, these are 60 volt rated, and they're marine rated as well. you could easily put a terminal fuse on here. So you can have a nice solid terminal fuse. Once you put these down, so it's got a fuse right there, you just change that fuse if you have to. So that's one great thing about having standard battery terminals. So here I have a regular 48-volt battery charger. What's nice about these is I can use it with my battery charger. So last time I was trying to, I couldn't use my battery charger because these stupid Amphenol connectors, there's no way to access the terminals. So just like that, you can hook up a battery charger and do whatever you need to do. So definitely like the standard battery terminals. But you can order both of these boxes with standard battery terminals. So what else? Check it out. Nice 220 amp breaker right there. It's got like a roller handle. It's actually really easy to flip. It feels kind of flimsy, but at least it's got a breaker. And a nice ground. I like this ground screw versus this one. This one is just a flush, just a regular screw. This is actually a strong terminal. So yeah, let's take a look inside. Look at this. Everything's like pre-assembled. I don't have to do anything. Just put the cells in and connect the bus bars. I'm kind of sad. Well, let's take a look. See these PCB joints? They really should put glue on these. That can break over time. But hey, everything's done. Look at that. They got the BMS connected. Oh, these harnesses are nice. Look at that. They're actually wrapped. That is really good. Let's get this on the bench. So I asked Becky, my contact, for the instructions to put this together, and she gave me a one-sheet instruction paper, and I was like, what is this one sheet? And now I understand, because everything's already built. For the price, if you're just wanting to do it quickly, not have to fuss with, you know, figuring out which way to put all the connectors and installing the BMS and all that, I mean, this is the way to go. It's already assembled. Just put the cells in and put the bus bars on. Alright. Okay, so they did make me aware of one thing. Is well, it's pretty much, I guess, sort of a defect, if you want to say. This screw right here, the washer is basically making contact with the two traces here. So it's possible if this washer were to rub through this laminate, right? It could short these two wires together, and you can short your BMS. So this screw will come pre-installed, so this has to be removed so you do not damage your BMS. Check the other screws. Just make sure none of the traces are being overlapped by the washers. All the other ones look good. That's the only one they told me about that was an issue. So just be aware of that. You can probably put the screw back if you take the washer off, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'll risk it. I don't think I can even take the washer off. So yeah, I'll probably leave this there, or maybe I'll put some hot glue or something down just to keep that down. But just double check all the traces, that these washers are not connecting any of the traces to create a possible short. You'll notice there's two connectors like I mentioned before. The larger one is for the BMS harness, and the smaller ones is for an external battery balancer. How cool is that? So if you got really bad cells, you can just plug in your external balancer right here and balance your pack. And here's what an external balancer looks like. So this plug would go here, this plug would go there. So cool. So these guys are really forward thinking. I like it. And this is something you have to do anyway, so I guess the first step is to remove these two top brackets with the PCBs. Tell you about, once you remove that A screw, this thing becomes a little bit, just be careful when you're removing this. Taking a look inside, this is actually, everything's nicely in place. I mean, this is able to flop around, but alright, so what's in the box? You're going to have your foam, right? These go between your cells. These are the sticky foams. They got the sticky on them. You can choose to use the sticky or not. I do not like to put the sticky on my cells because if I have to take the cells out to replace the cell or whatever, I don't want to have the sticky crap on my cell. So I just put them in just like this. You're going to have your bag of bus bars and M6 bolts for the studs. Look at that, they actually give you a comms cable. I did not get one with the last battery box. You'll get 4 pieces of epoxy board. This goes on the back of the box and on the front of the box, on the back and front cells. And you'll get 4 large epoxy boards. Oh, sorry, 6. 6 larger pieces. You'll get the 4 side pieces. So this goes on the sides and in the middles, and they go in vertically, and these lay flat on the bottom underneath the cells. And these are shorter, and there's only 2 of these. That's it. That's everything that came in the box, guys. Just that. That's it. Everything else is pre-assembled. You'll get the PCBs, of course. They'll already be installed. They'll already be in the brackets. You just have to remove those to put your cells in. Well, the cells will also have their own bus bars, and they will come with their own epoxy board. So you're going to have plenty, and they'll come with hardware as well, the M6 bolts. So you're going to have plenty of bus bars, you're going to have plenty of bolts, and you're going to have plenty of epoxy board. So whichever one you want to use, you can use the epoxy board in between your cells, or you can use the foam pads in between your cells, or you can use a combination of both. So I think I'm going to use the epoxy board, but just remember you're going to get extra bus bars and extra hardware. So you're going to have plenty of bus bars, plenty of hardware. They're really generous about that, so that's really great. Yeah, I'm a little bit biased at this point. Okay, so looking at the bus bar, you're going to have 14 of these flexible bus bars. These will connect the cells together. And check it out. These are actually flexible. These are the ones that came in the bag with the box. And these are the ones that came in the boxes with the cells. So these are rigid, not flexible. And this one is flexible. So pretty quality. I like it. And then you're going to have this bus bar. This huge, wide-looking one. This goes on the back between your cell packs. So this will connect the 2 24-volt packs together like this. Alright, so if you didn't see my previous video with the Apex case, the Apex case had these holes all along here, right? So even when you put your epoxy board in, because you have to put epoxy board on the sides like this, right, to cover up the sides. The problem is you're going to have these holes on top, and with so much hardware, it's easy to lose your hardware through this. And once you seal this off, once the bolt falls through this bracket and goes in between this slot, it's really hard to get it out. So I really like that they sealed this up, and there's no way for any bolt to fall down. Same with this one, same with this one over here. Also, which is really cool, this back piece right here, and one of my viewers had mentioned on the last video, they have this on my last box, the Apex box. There's like a square frame, like this, right? But it's like right here. So the cell has to sit on that frame. Right? The cell doesn't sit flush. But with this one, it's flush, right? So if you have this sort of frame and the cell is not being supported throughout the whole surface of the cell, right? It's kind of problematic. I don't know how big of a deal it is, but I like that this is flat. I like that this is nice and smooth and flush, and it covers the whole surface of the cell so that the cell is nicely supported. And I like this nice bezel. That last box I had to put like a little janky like plastic piece over the display. This has a nice bezel, so it looks really nice. Hey, check it out. Wow, look at that, an actual battery cable. That is really cool. That is huge. That looks like at least a 1/0, maybe a 2/0. And here we have the new JK inverter BMS. It's very nice. I implore you to take the faceplate off and just to check all your connections. Make sure they're solid, make sure they're nice and tight, make sure there's nothing missing. Check all your connections to your breaker. Check your bridge right here. So there's no fuse in this, it just has the breaker only and no fuse. Alright, so as I'm taking these bolts out for the pressure plate, I realize how long these are. Jeez. And this is something I kind of complained about in the last box, was that they should just have a long bolt, right? That. So that you can get the right amount of pressure depending on what cells you put in the box. And the other box only accommodated, I think, 2 types of cells, 2 capacity, 2 different sizes, like a 280 and a 304. I think this one will do 280 all the way up to, actually I'll find out, but this allows you a huge range on your pressure, right? Because you can either put, depending on what cells you have, how thick they are, you can get, there's like a whole 1.5 inches worth of adjustment on these screws, so that's really good. You probably don't even need to take these all the way out. You could probably just loosen them. And yeah, there's 2. There's one on top and one on the bottom, so there's 6 total. So if you're new to building batteries, if this is like your first build, I think this is pretty easy. This is pretty beginner friendly. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to take this all the way out. So this long cable here, this is going to be your battery plus. It's labeled right there. This goes to your main positive on your battery pack. Okay, taking a look at the breaker here, it looks like they got a double pole breaker and the bus bars spanning both poles, and it's rated at 220 amps, 80% duty cycle. So what we have here essentially is 2 110 amp breakers coupled in parallel, and it has a 275 amp trip rating. So this is perfectly rated for the 200 amp BMS. So it looks like the main P- coming from the BMS to the breaker is a SC50-6 lug, so this is a 1/0 cable, so this is plenty large enough. But I'd like to see what they did. I'd like to see a double lug on this side as well. See, they did it here on the JK BMS, which is perfect, but it would be nice to see that on the other side as well. They got the circuit breaker on the negative side of the battery, which is kind of strange. Typically circuit breakers and fuses go on the positive side over here, on the positive side of the circuit. They said they did it because of wire routing issues, but I don't see any reason they just can't finagle one of these bus bars to just go over here and connect to the breaker. I mean, there's tons of space over here, and then connect it to your positive terminals, but I don't know, hopefully they do that in the future, but they said it had no effect. Yeah, so they left the entire cable length for the display inside the battery, so there's probably no reason for that. This might actually cause a problem, potentially ripping the wires out of this connector here. It's not really secured in any way, so maybe I'll try to secure it right there. So yeah, definitely no need for all that cable length. So I just tightened these bolts. They were kind of loose to my liking. These ones too, these M8s, and also these ones over here. Just make sure everything's tight. Wow, especially on this breaker. I had to do like 6 turns on this. I'm actually surprised how loose these were. Make sure the M6 is tight there too. And also check these M6 over here for your on your BMS, B- and P-. Oh yeah, look at that. They're pretty loose. Okay, things I like about the battery and things that I don't like. They use high quality, flexible bus bars, and they also include those extra connectors on the PCB boards for adding an external balancer to the battery. I think this is a very forward-thinking feature. The 1.5-inch allowable movement in the pressure plate can accommodate a wide range of cells. I'll include a list of cells right here. Okay, so some major issues with the box: the PCB screws, the ones you have to remove that can potentially short out the BMS if that washer connects the 2 traces together. They did notify me of this, so this isn't something they're trying to hide. And apparently there's more than one company using these same PCBs, because my buddy told me about the same issue and that they also told him to remove those screws. So definitely make sure you check those screws if you're going to build this box. Okay, so the M6 and M8 bolts on the breaker and the battery terminals inside the battery were pretty much all loose. And the reason they gave me for that was because they said, well, the customer might want to take it apart, but it comes pre-assembled. And I told them this. I was like, there's no reason to take it apart. So just tighten them up at the factory and just let it be like that. So definitely check those bolts, and hopefully they fix that in the future. Okay, so minor issues. I think the feet were a little small. These are the feet that came with this box, and these are the feet that came with my other box. So there's really no reason to have these small feet. If this is supposed to hold 4 boxes, that's over 800 pounds bearing down on these little feet right here. And I think that's just a lot of pressure for the bottom case to be sitting on, pressing on the case, on the metal. So I don't know if it would puncture a hole, but it would surely dent it over time. So this is something I haven't seen any company do, was put holes on the sides of the case to vent in case the cells need to vent. Currently there's no way for the gas to get out. It would have to force its way through the seams in the box. So I hope plus it would be a nice aesthetic feature as well. So hopefully they do that. Last but not least, the display cable. They left the entire length of the JK display cable, which is meant to be mounted outside somewhere. They left the whole thing in the case, so it's just completely not necessary. I know it's a little more work to cut those wires and put them back together, but yeah, totally not necessary to have all that cable length inside the box. Okay, and here's the lineup. Yixiang 280 DIY, Irixu, EG4LL, SOK. Let the battle begin. These batteries are different capacities, so in order to compare apples to apples, we will base our numbers around 15 kilowatt hours worth of capacity. Okay, going down the left hand side, we have unit price, USD, price per kilowatt hours USD, units required for 15 kilowatt hours worth of capacity, nominal capacity, total cost for 15 kilowatt hours of capacity, total savings for those 15 kilowatt hours worth of capacity, nominal capacity in amp hours, BMS max continuous discharge, weight, certification, and warranty. For the Yixiang battery, it's going to cost right around $2,000, and that's with the CATL 280 cells. The CATL cells are more expensive than the other cells, so I'd say the price range for this battery is somewhere between $1,700 and $1,900, depending on the cells you use and shipping costs for that 15 kilowatt hours worth of power. Alright, so let's take a look at what it would cost if you were to buy the same amount of capacity with the other batteries. So the Irixu, you would need 2.8 units, let's just say 3, and it would cost you $3,450. EG4LL, you would need 3 batteries, that would cost you $3,640. Same with the SOK, it's going to cost you $4,328. Now let's look at how much you would save if you built a Yixiang 280 amp hour DIY kit. And the same cost against the Rixu, you would save $1,450, EG4LL $1,600, SOK $2,300. You can get one DIY one and get one free. That's crazy. Now it's also worth mentioning the BMS Max continuous discharge. All those other batteries is going to be 100. Just like their capacity will be 5.12 kilowatt hours, and the weight will be right around 100 pounds. That's because they're easily manageable to put into racks, you know. Where the downfall of the DIY kit is 220 pounds. That's really heavy. Let's take a look at certifications. So the DIY kit does not really have any meaningful certifications, unlike the other batteries, which are UL certified. So if you're looking for UL certification, I would stick with the rack mount batteries. They all carry a 10-year warranty. So what you really want to look at when you're buying batteries is the price per kilowatt hour. Then it basically sorts through all the minutia, all the different specs and stuff. If you just look at the price per kilowatt hour, you'll know exactly what you're paying. And you can see that the DIY kit, you're only paying $130 per kilowatt hour. And look at the SOK, $300 per kilowatt hour. That's crazy. These retailers are going to have to eventually catch up. So these prices are as of June 2024. Prices are subject to change, it goes without saying. If you're interested in purchasing any of these batteries, including the DIY kit, check in the description below. You can also check my website. If you do decide to get the DIY kit, just mention Nate's DIY Solar to get a discount. Well, that's all I got for this one. See you guys on the next one. What do you guys think about those LED lights? Pretty cool, huh? I just had them laying around, so I figured I'd put them up there. I like it.